Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a frame-by-frame breakdown of everything you missed in the trailer for Agatha All Along. Is Wanda Maximoff truly dead, or will she resurrect in the series? And what are these mysterious trials along the Witch's Road? Many of you found this channel back in 2021 when Jessica Clemens and I were trying to figure out what the hell was going on in every episode of WandaVision. That was really my favorite era of New Rockstars, so you better believe Jessica and I are going to be back unpacking every episode of Agatha starting September 18th. This trailer already drops a ton of easy to miss clues, connections to WandaVision, horror references, and I think I figured out what's going on. So witches, let's take a walk.
Another beautiful day.
Surprised to see you out here, Detective. Jane Doe, found her down here by the water.
Cause?
Blunt force trauma.
Whoa, so the Agnes of Westview set share that we saw was not a joke. This series will actually have a sequence in the style of HBO's Mare of Easttown that starred Kate Winslet as a detective in a Philly suburb investigating a grisly murder. Kathryn Hahn is dressed to look exactly like Mare. Hair parted down the middle, she's wearing the same kind of coat. And remember, the co-star of Mare of Easttown was Evan Peters, and it has been speculated that Ralph Bohner may return for a cameo in Agatha. There was a deleted scene that came out years later that revealed that Ralph was Jimmy Woo's missing witness from witness protection, and he was able to get off that witness FBI tracker bracelet. Remember, WandaVision ended with Wanda trapping Agatha in a trance to make Agatha think that she was in that TV-themed hex still.
You're gonna need me.
If I do, I know where to find you.
Wait. Hiya, hun. Say, that's some kind of getup you're wearing.
There was another deleted scene from that WandaVision Steelbook release that included a deleted scene of Agatha being inspected by an EMT.
Are you injured?
No, I'm not handsome, but I could always use some mouth to mouth.
So she has still been in that trance ever since. But shortly after that, Wanda and Vision took the boys back home, and Wanda erased the hex over Westview, so we were never really sure what that meant for Agatha, especially since Wanda Maximoff seemed to die in the events of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, as the Darkhold Castle atop Mount Wundagore collapsed on top of her. But we did see a burst of red light in that rubble, and ever since then, we true believers have maintained hope that Wanda could still exist in some universe or realm out there. The official synopsis of this series is as follows. The infamous Agatha Harkness finds herself down and out of power after a suspicious goth teen helps break her free from a distorted spell. Her interest is piqued when he begs her to take him on the legendary Witch's Road, a magical gauntlet of trials that, if survived, rewards a witch with what they are missing. Together, Agatha and this mysterious teen pull together a desperate coven and set off down the road. And I don't know if it's just the repetition of the word down, but obviously there are going to be some Wizard of Oz references on the show, but I think this might be a reference to The Wiz. You know, get on down the road. And as much as I love The Wizard of Oz, it's like top 5 for me, I will never change the channel away from The Wiz. It is that good. So the goth teen being referred to in the description is Joe Locke's character, who was reported by Variety to be Billy Kaplan, but then Variety weirdly changed the text of their article without saying anything. But Billy Kaplan is of course Wiccan in the Marvel Comics, and I do not think this is the same character as Wanda's son Billy Maximoff from WandaVision and from the alternate universe in Multiverse of Madness. But in the Young Avengers comics, Wiccan is Billy Kaplan, but we find out later that he and Tommy Shepard are actually Wanda's children, really pieces of Mephisto's soul reborn. I tried to go as long as I could before I had to say his name. But why is Marvel Studios being so cagey about just confirming this is Billy Kaplan and apparently telling Variety to change their article? Maybe the answer to the Billy Maximoff versus Billy Kaplan mystery will reveal something about the multiverse and Secret Wars. I don't know, but we do know that Joe Locke's version of Billy is Agatha's familiar, according to Patti LuPone, and that is not what Billy Maximoff was in WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness. This is just a different character. So here we see the police cars in the CSI truck reading Westview Police, and we know that the town of Westview, New Jersey would not be big enough to have its own CSI unit. Agatha steps up to David Payton, who played Westview resident John Collins, aka Herb, within the Hex, and this initial shot of him on the other side of the police tape has similar blocking as when Herb was on the other side of the property line when Agatha was chatting with him in episode 3 and had that really creepy moment where she was like, shh, 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 shh. Since we saw John Collins in Westview glaring at Wanda Maximoff as she was leaving the town, really Agatha would just be casting him now in her mental hex as she is just living through this detective show. John says,
Found her down here by the water.
I love David Payton for this. He uses a Baltimore accent for water, which evokes the Baltimore accents in The Wire and the law enforcement that was interviewed for the Serial podcast. And while true crime has always been popular, I think we could say that Serial definitely fueled a surge in popularity for the true crime and crime drama that we've just been living in the past decade, which brought us Mare of Easttown. And Mare of Easttown, of course, was famous for all the actors really committing to the regional Philly suburb accents, which SNL parodied in the Murder Dirter sketch.
I didn't murder no one's dirter. I got no idea how she ended up in the wooter. What wooter?
But I gotta wonder, is Peyton doing the Baltimore or Philly version of Worder? Like Baltimore and Philly and South Jersey are all within the same sad, wet, gray stretch of America, but there is a subtle distinction between the two. It is Wooter for these particular suburbs of Philly, and it is Worder for Baltimore. Wooter, Worder. Either way, it's both wrong. Down south, we just call it Coke. Detective John says the cause of death was blunt force trauma, which does line up with the collapsing rubble upon Wanda in the events of Multiverse of Madness. But we get a closer look at this corpse in the next clip.
What happened to you? I have a lead in the case, but can't shake this feeling I'm seeing it wrong.
Okay, they find the corpse by the water, and the fingertips are black, and I love it because you would find discoloration on the fingertips of a corpse, but we saw these black fingertips on Agatha's hands in WandaVision, and on Wanda's hands, and on 838 Doctor Strange's hands after they had used the Darkhold in Multiverse of Madness. This is a sign of a sorcerer using the dark sorcery from the Darkhold. In this overhead shot, the Jane Doe is barefoot, which is an important clue because the 838 universe Wanda was barefoot throughout Multiverse of Madness when she was slaughtering the Illuminati. That was the Wanda variant who's possessed by the Scarlet Witch to go kill those 838 universe Illuminati members. That alternate universe Wanda was technically still alive at the end of Multiverse of Madness, but 838 Wanda was not wearing a hoodie in that movie, and these black fingers make me think that this would have to be a Wanda with the Scarlet Witch powers and possession of the Darkhold. In promo footage from the WandaVision Steelbook, Agatha, Billy, and the witches walk through the Witch's Road, a dimension from the comics that's only supposed to be accessed by sorcerers and sorceresses. This is from James Robinson's 2016 Scarlet Witch comic run, and in that promo shot, all of the characters were barefoot. So if Scarlet Witch Wanda actually survived Multiverse of Madness, she could have escaped into the Witch's Road realm. In the 2016 comics, Ghost Agatha guides Wanda through the Witch's Road, and Wanda finds her mother, Natalia Maximoff. And I wonder if in this show, the Wicked Witch they find at the end of this road will be the long-lost Scarlet Witch. Because yes, the Wizard of Oz parallels are abundant here, as this is really the story of a Dorothy and her Toto and a bunch of misfits following a road where there must be some wicked witch who is plaguing them throughout. Agatha looks at this toe tag on the corpse, and oddly, it's not an ID tag that you would find at a medical examiner's office, but a card that goes in the back of a library book to show its checkout history. At the bottom, the stationery reads, State of New Jersey Public Library, Westview Branch 53961. And the past dates start out blank, but the dates are February 4th, February 16th, August 28th, June 2nd, December 28th, which is Stan Lee's birthday and was actually in the opening modern sitcom montage for WandaVision episode 7, and then January 21st, and then October 13th. And on October 13th, the name W. Maximoff appears in red cursive. The events of WandaVision are set after the blip ends in Avengers Endgame. The Battle of Earth is supposed to be on October 23rd, 2023. This is in the MCU in-universe timeline. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is supposed to take place in November 2024 in that in-universe timeline. They must take place after Spider-Man No Way Home's main events, and those take place in the weeks after Halloween of that year, aside from the epilogue of No Way Home, which obviously takes place around Christmas time. So October 13th, 2024 in our timeline is a Sunday, so I don't think it's going to be like an episode midway through the season where Wanda comes back. But October 13th, 2023 in our timeline was Friday the 13th. In October, making it double spooky. And I just think all the events of the show will be set around Halloween season in the world of the show. But maybe this was the date Wanda Maximoff rented this body for possession. It just kind of creeps me out though that Wanda would think of corpses in a morgue as books in a library that she could check out and then just leave discarded in the woods. But we should also remember that in WandaVision, the confrontation between Vision and White Vision occurred in the Westview Library, which served as a perfect academic backdrop for the Ship of Theseus debate. Seeing this library checkout card as a toe tag and the idea of Wanda possessing a corpse brings up the same debate. When a variant Wanda is possessed by a dream-walking Scarlet Witch's soul, where is the line between each Wanda? well, both are Wanda and neither are Wanda. We gotta move on. Okay, so Aubrey Plaza plays a character named Rio Vidal. She is a green witch who, in this illusion, presents herself as a fellow detective. As a green witch, she would have a stronger connection to the Earth itself and potentially even to the Witch's Road. The way Aubrey Plaza just appears out of nowhere in this dim yellow light reminds me of her creepy role in the FX Marvel series Legion, where she played a character named Lenny, who was sort of a figment of David Haller's mind, but it was actually one of many forms of the Shadow King Amal Farouk, and she also ended up playing several characters in that show. You just gotta go watch Legion. I know, back when I was a wee little New Rockstars baby in 2017, I did start to break down Legion, but we just couldn't keep up with all the seasons of that show, especially since, I think it kind of drops off in season 3. But it's still like the best Marvel TV show, I think, yet. But Rio tells Agatha that witch is gone, leaving you trapped in her distorted spell. But she doesn't say dead, she says gone, which could mean, just gone to another realm or universe. I'm just saying. But Rio tells her to claw your way out, and Agatha tugs at her scarf and then finds herself wearing the purple sweater with the collar that she wore in WandaVision episode 7, the modern sitcom era, and then the 80s Kimmy Gibbler sweats from the WandaVision episode 5 Full House Growing Pains era, and then the sweater and the patterned skirt from the WandaVision episode 3 Brady Bunch era. That was when she was chatting with Herb by the fence. And then lastly, black and white as Agnes, the nosy neighbor from episode 1, the 1961 sitcom era. So she is reversing through the decades back to the beginning to undo Wanda's hex. And the way her gray hand suddenly grabs a gurney is just like the ghost girl Samara in The Ring, like especially since her gray is kind of like glitching and staticky. And you'll notice that Agatha, while she matches her 1961 wardrobe and her hair exactly, does not have the brooch that appeared on her throughout the decades. It was the one item that stayed the same about her look throughout the shifting eras. That brooch depicted the 3 graces from Greek mythology, Euphrosyne, Aglaia, and Talia. Remember, Agatha snatched that brooch off the body of her mother, Evanora Harkness, when she drained her of her power in episode 8. But I love how the swinging light overhead shines off her black and white body. Like they would have to composite her into this shot, yet they matched the swinging light over her head. But the contrast of a monochrome subject in a Technicolor world is just already so surreal that any attempt to make it realistic just feels really unsettling. The trailer is edited from here on out to Florence and the Machine's 7 Devils from their 2011 album Ceremonials. The 7 Devils correspond to the Salem 7 of the series, who appear later in this trailer as the daughters of the witches whose power Agatha drained in WandaVision episode 8. The Salem 7's inclusion in the series comes from our friend Scarlet Witch Updates on Twitter, which has been the best source for Scarlet Witch news and hot goss. Definitely give them a follow. This group is not to be confused though with Salem 7. That was a group of magical mutates, children of Nicholas Scratch and technically grandchildren of Agatha Harkness from Fantastic Four number 186. Yes, the character of Agatha Harkness was introduced to Marvel Comics as Franklin Richards' governess. Florence and the Machine's lyrics for 7 Devils open with these lines: "Holy water cannot help you now. 1,000 armies couldn't keep me out. I don't want your money, I don't want your crown. See, I've come to burn your kingdom down." It's a great revenge song. In fact, it was used in the trailer for Game of Thrones season 2 and in the season 1 finale of ABC's Revenge. The Salem 7 does not want to reclaim Agatha's crown. That was the crown we saw in Evanora originally, and it was a crown that passed to Wanda Maximoff when she became the Scarlet Witch in WandaVision episode 9. They just want revenge against Agatha. There's a spooky green crescent moon, which contrasts the full blood moon that we see later in the trailer as the full coven crosses it on broomsticks, like the money shot of E.T. I love the color palette of the series so far. We got Agatha purple, Rio green, Scarlet red, a golden yellow, a blue light from the hatch portal. I think each of the trials in the Witch's Road will be a different color, a different phase of the moon. There are 8 lunar phases, and there are 9 episodes of the show, so I think it sets up a natural episode structure. And all the past titles that we've gotten for the show so far, Darkhold Diaries, House of Harkness, Coven of Chaos, The Lion Witch and the Great Wardrobe, could be these episode titles. I've been obsessed though with this red moon, and the good folks at nerdriot.shop have put together an amazing blood moon design, and you can grab this shirt now and support New Rockstars directly, please and thank you. Agatha clutches some golden colored sorcery in her palm in a yellow tinted region of the Witch's Road, beside what look like some golden colored vines or roots. I think the color coding could end up being important, as in James Robinson's 2016 Scarlet Witch run, we learned the Scarlet Witch is part of an array of color-coded sorcerers, including the likes of the Emerald Warlock, which is who she confronts in the Witch's Road in the 4th issue of the series. This might be part of the road accessed by passing these stones with yellow streaks in them. In the following shot, and the boots and the hemline of the person stepping over them look like what Agatha was wearing during 1693. But in the shot of Agatha with that golden energy in her palm, Agatha does appear to be wearing a new version of the brooch in the form of a necklace under her shirt. Scarlet Witch Updates reported that this is a new cameo pendant design that replaces the 3 graces with the triple goddess, the maiden, the mother, and the crone. This is a neo-pagan archetype with parallels in a number of different traditions, for example, the 3 Moirai, aka the Fates of Greek mythology. But some consider the original ancient triple moon goddess to be Hecate, or Hecate. I don't don't care how you say it. I think they're all right, they're all wrong. Hecate is a character Wanda ends up meeting in the Greek Isles later in the 2016 James Robinson comic run. We see this overhead shot of the witches dancing at a recording studio where the room spins like a record. Patti LuPone confirmed that this series would have musical elements, and we know that the witches will have to sing to open the portal to the Witch's Road, but we're gonna return to this disco moment later. God, I hope it's like ABBA, Dancing Queen. I love me some Mamma Mia. I love a good game night game, especially if it's easy to introduce new friends to, and that's why I love Doomlings. Doomlings is a card game that takes 5 minutes to learn. You're trying to score the most points before the end of the world by playing cards from your hand called traits, and every card has these fun little monster type guys on it, like costly signaling, memory. This trait is fangs, altruistic. This trait is leaves. Leaves. Every round is called an age. Occasionally an age will introduce a catastrophe, and the game ends when the third catastrophe strikes. Like an age could be Badlands or Glacial Drift, the Four Horsemen, or Grey Goo, AI Takeover. You know, I just start to flip through these whenever I'm in a dark place. There, now you know how to play Doomlings. It's literally that simple to explain, and the rules are on the cards themselves. So if you forget, you know, Doomlings has you covered. And now Doomlings is expanding with the all new Imaginary Ends expansion. This expansion literally just came out. It adds 127 new cards and 5 new varieties of Doomlings. Each new Doomling has another layer of strategy to the base game, whether it's the suppressing power of the Deeplings or the luck mechanics of the Glitterings. So here are some Imaginary Ends expansion cards. You got like Monstrosity, Decaying Ooze. Look at this. The art is so good. I love these. You can get Doomlings in retail stores like Walmart or Target, but if you scan the QR code or click on the link in the description and use code Rockstars20, you'll get 20% off your order at doomlings.com. But I love how this shot cross dissolves into Agatha's open hands like she is the one spinning this record, but she is without magic in this moment. Actually, she's pinching her fingers. This is the same spell that Agatha used to conjure the insect when she was questioning Wanda in episode 8. Agatha is nude in this shot. Her long hair is covering her bits like Eve in the Garden of Eden. Or would she be Lilith, the figure from Mesopotamian and Jewish scripture theorized to be the first wife of Adam, a primordial she-demon who is banished from the Garden of Eden, a figure now associated with the occult. Agatha and the others open a 5-sided hatch, and yes, it's a pentagon, and I, for one, thank God it's not a hexagon. While the number 6 is obviously important to the numerology of the occult, 666 being the mark of the beast, a pentagon forms the center of a pentagram, which is a 5-pointed star encased within the circle associated with Satanism. We see Agatha, Lilia Calderou, that's Patti LuPone, Jennifer Kale, played by Sasheer Zamata, and Alice Wu, Ali An. Westview resident Sharon Davis, Debra Jo Rupp, aka Mrs. Hart, joins him in the shot, but I don't know if she's a witch on this show. A teal-colored light beams from the other side of this hatch. I think this hatch might be another access point to the Witch's Road. Maybe an access point that's located in the basement of Lilia Calderou's divination business, or maybe in Sharon Davis's home basement. On the left side is a small animal carrier that would contain either a cat or a rabbit, like what one would carry Senor Scratchy inside of. Maybe Joe Locke is the human form of one of these witches' animal pets. Then a monstrous hell demon with wings. No, this is not Mephisto. The Mephisto is the friends we made along the way, and or Sacha Baron Cohen and Ironheart if that show ever comes out. But the practical effects on this sucker are pretty great. A protruding snout of upper and lower teeth looking like the midway point in the transformation of an American werewolf in London. But judging from the bust and the hair length alone, I would say this might be a female, but you know, you never want to assume. I just wonder if this could be a primordial form of the Scarlet Witch back from biblical times, or maybe like the original Lilith. Agatha says,
Well, the gang's all here. Let's hit the road.
Now, in this house, we see a stepladder by the fireplace where there are mounds of candle wax that have melted, and the stepladder presumably was to replace the painting, but there also appears to be evidence boxes between Joe Locke and the window. And then we get solo shots of each of the witches, Sasheer Zamata as Jennifer Kale. Now, Jennifer Kale was introduced in 1972's Adventures into Fear number 11. She was a sorceress from the cult of Shared Na, an ally of Man-Thing, and later teams up with the Midnight Suns. If this show brings in Man-Thing from Werewolf by Night with his little adorable daisy on his shoulder, I'm gonna be so happy. Just put this guy in the background of the Witch's Road, please. And we see how Jen is framed in front of this painting in a way that makes her look like she is radiating light. There's Broadway legend Patti LuPone as Lilia Calderou, a 450-year-old Sicilian witch whose power is divination. She can see the future, and she uses tarot cards. In the comics, she has a history with Baron Mordo and the Book of Cagliostro, which we saw in the Doctor Strange film. Debra Jo Rupp returns as Sharon Davis in her basement with the laundry machines and bottles of detergent behind her, and Ali An is Alice Wu, who looks pretty punk rock here, and in set photos, she appears to daylight as a security guard at the Westview Mall. And of course, Joe Locke as a teenage Billy Kaplan, and Aubrey Plaza as the Green Witch Rio Vidal. In this shot, it looks like she's wearing her original green robe with an ornate dress from whatever her era of origin was. It's hard to tell under her hair, but it looks like it might be an insect wing pendant on her left lapel. Agatha, Billy, Jen, Lilia, Sharon, and Alice walk the witch's road. Sharon's hair is pretty messed up. Her arms and shins are covered in dark mud. I wonder if they might have had to put some spell on this mortal so that she could join them on the road. A path of autumn leaves forms the witch's road up to the glowing house with an odd modern look to it. We see red toadstools glowing in patches throughout the forest. We know from set video that they built this forest set practically, and I think that's the idea of it. It's supposed to look kind of like the set of The Wizard of Oz as they're walking through the forest there. It's supposed to kind of have like a storybook feel to it. And I wonder if each segment of the witch's road ends in a different house with some different horror throwback, a historical touchstone of evil that they have to go through. Like this 80s looking house could lead to that Ouija board sleepover that they have to participate in that's shown later in the trailer. Lilia says the witch's road is a death wish, and on her fridge is a calendar for the month of November, and it looks like the first of this November is on a Friday, and November begins on a Friday, hey, this year in 2024. Then we see creepy hands sneaking around a tree, looking at first like it's just one person, but there's a third hand that appears. I was wondering if this might be Rio Vidal, but who knows, this could be one of the forms of the Scarlet Witch. Agatha strikes a bell, and on this bell are devils, horned devil heads encrusted on the sides, and a winged horned devil perched on the top. Perhaps this could be a bell that transfigures familiars from animal to human form, or vice versa, or maybe summon that hell demon that we saw earlier. In a yellow tinted corner of the witch's road, Agatha and Billy face a towering castle atop a hill. Now it is just the two of them now, so this may be in a later episode when the group is just narrowed down to two. Agatha holds an eviction notice from 3-star rentals to Lilia Calderu and begs her to join her, and then we get an overhead shot of the four witches blasting Agatha with sorcery as she just absorbs it all, turning the golden beams into her own color purple, similar to what she did to Evanora's Salem coven. Agatha wears a Victorian era outfit here, and she is wearing the older version of the brooch. I wonder if this might be a different point in history, late 19th century, early 20th century, where she wiped out a different coven. Like, to stay alive for so long, Agatha might have had to drain dozens of covens, and that's what led to her toxic reputation among all the witches. We get a quick shot of Rio Vidal waving a green torch flame, and then a shot of Billy at his desk, rocking some goth eyeliner. While earlier it seemed like Rio Vidal was the one helping Agatha get out of the spell, the synopsis says it was the teen who did it, so maybe Billy was the one who unleashed Rio Vidal, and that ended up being a mistake. While I don't think Rio Vidal will be the ultimate villain of the show, I think she is an antagonistic presence throughout the episodes. But one of the most intriguing shots shows Agatha and Billy in this metal-plated chamber with flickering, shattering lights overhead, most of them purple, but one flickers green for a frame. They are wearing these drab gowns that kind of look like what Wanda was wearing in Hydra Base in the flashbacks of WandaVision, but this location definitely looks more futuristic than anything else we're seeing. There's a quick shot of this place later as Agatha runs out of the room and soil and rocks cave in from above, trying to follow the lines on the floor, and I think Agatha and Billy were sitting in the middle of a pentagram shape. Next, we see the Salem 7. These are the daughters of the Salem witches that Agatha drained in WandaVision. They're now seeking revenge. Scarlet Witch update reported the actresses playing them and what animal form they take. We got Okwui, Okpokwasili, who takes the form of a cicada, Bethany Curry, who becomes a crow, Athena Peramble, who becomes a fox, Marina Mazepa, who becomes a snake, Britta Grant, who becomes a rat, Chow Namova, who becomes a coyote, and Alicia Vela Bailey, who becomes an owl. So the leader of that group takes the form of a cicada. Could she have been that same cicada that Wanda spotted in Agatha's curtains in episode 7? Because we still had a lot of questions about what exactly that was. Agatha laughs as her face is covered in bloody cuts. Later, there's a shot of window glass shattering, and I think that broken glass is what gave her these cuts. I think this might be one of the houses she encounters along the witch's road, in the green part of it. A hooded Rio Vidal attacks Agatha at her home, flying off the walls with a dagger in hand as she lunges at Agatha. It reminds me of the scene in The Craft when Nancy leapt at Sarah with a knife. Agatha leads Jen, Lilia, and Alice as they ride broomsticks through the witch's road realm, and I think this would connect to the shot of 6 of them on broomsticks crossing the red moon. I love these broomsticks designs. They're not the smooth and sleek form like the Nimbus 2000. They're crooked and knobby, just like branches they ripped off of trees. The Salem 7 attack Lilia Calderu in this setting where tarot cards are being read and swords are sticking out of the checkerboard floor. This looks like a much older point in history, and Lilia might have inverted gravity to fight them because she grabs hold of the table as the others fall, like all this could be upside down. Lilia asks,
what witch in her right mind would join Agatha Harkness's coven? Not looking for right-minded witches as it happens.
Lilia is implying that every coven that Agatha has formed over the centuries, she has eventually betrayed by absorbing their power to prolong her life. But now Agatha is searching for witches without covens to help her through the trials on the witch's road, and that each of these witches are missing something that they're gonna try to gain by defeating these like bosses, right? And again, it is much like the Wizard of Oz. Like the Scarecrow needs a brain, the Tin Man needs a heart, the Lion needs some courage, Toto just needs a bone. But then we see the group playing the Ouija board, and they all have retro digital watches, and you know that Agatha is a girl wearing the purple jersey. What's that jersey number? Number 3, the magic number, and her brooch is on her wrist as a bracelet. I think this is part of that sleepover that we see in the final clip where they're all dressed up like middle schoolers in the 80s. So we see the dance club from another angle. Agatha and the others wear awesome disco outfits, but now Rio draws a circle around Lilia, who spasms on the floor, sizzling with smoke. Is the circle causing the smoking, or is it a spell to stop it? Like, did Lilia dance to the wrong song and start to burst into flame? A later shot shows Jennifer inside of a similar circle scratched on the ground wearing her 70s ABBA outfit. Leader of the Salem 7 actress, Okwui, opens her mouth to release these bugs, either bees or locusts, or maybe, yeah, sure, they could just be cicadas. And I think they're even swarming over her shoulders here. Ugh. The trailer ends on this clip.
Sweetheart, you okay? Oh my God! Whoa, what's she doing? Where's she going?
So again, we are seeing the results of the Ouija board scene where Rio and Alice and Jennifer and Billy and Agatha are playing this game, and Agatha gets possessed. But it looks like they swapped it for Kathryn Hahn, some very talented contortionists for this shot, as Agatha is getting possessed. Agatha bends into a crab walk like Regan in The Exorcist when she goes down the stairs. And if you pause on her face as it crosses the light, she even kind of looks like Linda Blair when she was wearing the makeup. So this series is going to be rated TV PG and will have a scary content warning on Disney+. Marvel head of television Brad Winderbaum described it this way in last week's podcast.
Yeah, I mean, Agatha is it's really fun, but it's really scary, and it gets quite dramatic. She's an amazing anti-hero, and that show is it lures you in with the fun of Halloween, and before you know it, you're crying. And there are deadly stakes in this series. It's a fun ride, but it's a dangerous one.
Yes, Jessica Clemens and I were pretty confused by Winderbaum's tone, and I think we were definitely too hard on him, because now upon watching this trailer, I totally get what he was getting at. I don't think he was down on this show. I just think he was cautioning Marvel viewers that this series is going to be different, but in a good way. It's going to have some legitimately creepy body horror elements, but the sisterhood and the bond formed by these characters, it's just really going to touch our hearts by the end of it. But along the way, we're going to touch on the full history of horror in television and film, the way WandaVision took us through the history of sitcoms. And ending on an announcement here. Tomorrow on New Rockstars, you're going to see a special video, an in-depth breakdown of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us music video. We have been getting flooded with requests to break down this #1 trending video on YouTube because Kendrick filled it with some super dense Easter eggs, and the world needs an expert to unpack it, and that expert is Jessica Clemens. She's got us covered. But I want you to watch it and give it a like, because you know, New Rockstars doesn't normally make videos like this, and a lot of viewers are probably going to see this video and be like, what the f is this? And they're gonna knee-jerk downvote it. But we want to be able to take rare requests like this more often, so we need your help to show it some love the moment you see it come out tomorrow. I promise it's gonna be such a good video. But let us know in the comments below what you're most looking forward to for Agatha All Along. Follow me at EA Voss, subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.